What is good, everyone? It's great to be back on the Mayo Media Network. My name's Griff Swanson, and I'm here to break down Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, Tampa is up 3-0 in this series, looking to close things out on the road here, sweep the series, and go back-to-back as Stanley Cup champions, while Montreal is going to try and force a Game 5 and send things back to Tampa. Now, I am recording this on Sunday, but if we take a look here in the top left-hand corner, you can see Tampa is favored to win here at minus 150. That very well could change, but seems to be pretty accurate right now. And Montreal coming in at plus 128, and a game total there at 5.0. And as always, listing out the scoring guide behind me, both the player scoring and goalie scoring guide. You can use that as a reference point as I'm going through my favorite plays for this slate. But before we dive into my favorite plays here for this slate, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Pat and his team at the Mayo Media Network are posting content all week long, hitting multiple different sports. A lot of information coming your way. It's very entertaining to say the least. And for you podcast people, just head on over to the Apple Pods. You can find all the content there. Leave a 5-star review while you're at it. And of course, want to talk a little prize picks here with you today as well. If you haven't checked it out yet, head on over to prizepicks.com. It's a different and unique way to play DFS, a fun way, in my opinion, to kind of mix things up from the traditional way we've always played DFS. And from an NHL perspective, there's really two ways that we can approach it: a fantasy score or a single stat. So they're going to put out a number for a number of different players, and you need to take the over or the under on that number. For the single stats, it's pretty straightforward: shots on net, save props, things like that. For the fantasy score, it's a little different. Players can rack up points 4 different ways: 3 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist, half a point for a shot on net, and half a point for a block shot. All you need to do, again, is take the over or the under on that fantasy score or the single stat prop. Now, I have 2 picks that I like here for Game 4, but before we dive into those here, if you haven't signed up for Prize Picks yet or want to sign up in the future, make sure you use code MMN for up to a $100 match deposit. It is completely free money. Take advantage of it. As soon as you put your money in, Prize Picks will match that deposit. Again, just need to use code MMN upon sign up. So the first prize pick that I like here for Game 4 is going to be a fantasy score. The second pick is going to be a single stat, and that's a nice thing about Prize Picks as well, is you can mix and match those a number of different ways. The first pick that I like is going to be Steven Stamkos under 3.4, again on the fantasy score side of things. Stamkos has played much better at home throughout the playoffs compared to on the road, so that's the first thing that really stuck out to me. And on top of that, he's only hit the over here at 3.4 in 2 of his past 10 games. And again, both games where he did hit the over came while he was playing at home. So he's been significantly better there compared to on the road. He's still obviously a great player, but just hasn't been all that consistent when it comes to getting on the score sheet. And at 3.4, we at least need him to score a goal or have multiple points to hit the over. So again, I'm going to take the under there at 3.4. And then the second pick that I like here, again, is going to be a single stat. We're going to take the over on Cole Caulfield. 2 shots on net, 2.0. He has 29 shots on net here in his past 10 games, essentially averaging 3 shots per game, and that's all we need from him here to hit the over at 2.0, 3 shots on net. I definitely think he can get there, especially in a game where you're on the verge of getting eliminated. You don't want to get swept in the playoffs, especially in the Stanley Cup Final. Caulfield is a natural goal scorer, a natural shooter, so I'm expecting him to shoot the puck as much as possible here in Game 4. Take the over at 2.0. So again, to recap there, the 2 picks that I like, mixing it up a little bit. We have a fantasy score, taking the under on Steven Stamkos at 3.4, and then a single stat, Cole Caulfield, taking the over at 2.0 shots on net. All we need is 3 from him. Again, go over to prizepicks.com. If you haven't signed up yet or want to sign up in the future, just make sure you use code MMN for up to a $100 match deposit. But all right, folks, let's dive into this spreadsheet here. And of course, before we dive into my favorite plays here, just want to cover these 6 general showdown rules here quickly. I'm not going to go through these one by one like I have in previous videos, but feel free to take a screenshot of these if you'd like to save them. 6 rules that we should be following as close as possible for the most optimal NHL showdown lineups, but there are always exceptions to these rules as well. For example, rule number 1, no defenseman in the captain spot, about 88% of optimal lineups. I think you could justify someone like Victor Hedman in the captain spot here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. For example, the previous round, Vegas versus Montreal, I used Vegas defenseman Alex Pietrangelo in the captain spot. quite a bit. So again, there's always exceptions to these rules, but following them as close as possible makes sense for the most optimal lineups. All right, now we're going to dive into my favorite plays here, kicking it off with the captains. As you all know, I like to highlight a captain from both sides of this game, one player from each team. We're going to start on the Tampa Bay Lightning side of things. I'm going to roll with Vasilevskiy here. He's just been so consistent all season, especially throughout the playoffs, that it makes sense to go with him in Game 4. On top of that, in the first 3 elimination games where Tampa moved on to the next series, Vasilevskiy had a shutout. First goaltender ever in NHL history to do that. So he's played pretty well in these elimination games. He's got 35 plus DraftKings point upside. We saw that in Game 2 where he had 34.9 DraftKings points. And again, it's do or die here for Montreal. They don't want to get swept, especially at home in the Stanley Cup final. I'm expecting them to pour on the shots here in Game 4. So win or lose, Vasilevskiy should be able to rack up solid DraftKings points. I don't know if Tampa is going to lose. That'd be pretty cool for them to sweep a series as well. Obviously sitting there at minus 150. But again, comes down to just how consistent Vasilevskiy has been all season. That's why I like him here. But again, Kucherov, Point, Hedman, I would be comfortable with any one of those guys as well. And then on the Montreal side of things here, I'm going to roll with Nick Suzuki. Obviously, there hasn't been a whole lot to love about this Montreal team in this series so far, but Suzuki has been one of the bright spots. Has a goal in back-to-back games now, scored in Game 2 and Game 3, and has topped 25 plus DraftKings points in 2 of his past 5 games. That's the upside that you need when it comes to rostering someone in the captain spot. We see it with Vasilevskiy, Kucherov, Point, even Victor Hedman. All of those guys can get you 20, 25 plus points in the captain spot. So Suzuki has obviously proven that as well. It's do or die. I sound like a broken record talking about that, but this guy should play 20 plus minutes in regulation, going to play on the number 1 power play, and hopefully him, Caulfield, and Toffoli can get going in this game. I really like Caulfield as well, but again, Suzuki has been one of the bright spots when there really hasn't been a whole lot to love about Montreal in general over the past 3 games. Now moving on down here to the flex plays, probably don't need to convince you all that much to play these top 2 guys here, whether it's together or by themselves. You could put either one of them in the captain spot, be comfortable with that as well. Nikita Kucherov is going to have the highest ceiling of any forward for sure on this slate, maybe out of any player outside of Vasilevskiy, and even then he could get you 40, 45 plus DraftKings points if he has himself a night. We've seen him top 20 plus DraftKings points here in 4 of his past 10 games. Again, the upside that you're really looking for, especially for those you're putting in the captain spot. That's why he makes sense there, and he has 30 points in 20 playoff games. So he's averaging 1.5 points per game throughout the playoffs. Again, probably don't need to convince you all that much to play Kucherov. Really, his numbers speak for himself. Same thing here with Braden Point. He has been held off the score sheet here now in 2 straight games, but that's kind of an outlier. We've only seen that happen to him twice throughout the playoffs. Earlier it happened to him, he went back-to-back games, and then he went on a 9-game goal streak right after that, and you can see there he has at least 1 point in 15 of 21 playoff games. So again, the numbers speak for themselves. I'm okay with Kucherov, Point together, either one of them in the captain spot. Both these guys are very expensive, but are worth it more nights than not. Now with this next play here, I'm going to let you be the judge. I'm going to ask you a question, and it's not an easy question to answer unless you can see into the future. And if you can, hit me up because I'd like to talk to you. But if you can't, answer this question yes or no. Do you think Montreal wins Game 4 and forces a Game 5? If you just answered yes, then play Carey Price, because if Montreal does win Game 4, he's probably locked into 15 DraftKings points with 25, 30 plus DraftKings point upside. Might even make sense to put in the captain spot if you think Montreal wins. But if you think Montreal doesn't win here, if it's going to be a closer game and you don't really know, I probably would fade Carey Price. It's hard to judge him because he looked awesome in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, but just has not looked like the same goaltender here over the past 3 games. Now, it is Game 4 here, do or die, playing at home. Price could flip on the switch here and look like the goaltender that we did watch in the first 3 rounds. I just don't know if we're going to see that. So again, you need to ask yourself, does Montreal win Game 4 and force a Game 5? Again, if you answered yes, then I'd play Carey Price. If you're a bit hesitant or answering no, then I'd probably fade this goaltender and just roll with Vasilevskiy. But the next pick here, it's going to be a lot easier for me to justify this pick on the Montreal side of things. Shea Weber has been very consistent for Montreal as of late, especially in terms of racking up DraftKings points. even if I think Tampa wins this game and I roll with a Tampa stack, put in Vasilevsky, well, I have to at least put one Montreal player in my lineup. Shea Weber is sticking out to me as that guy. He's been able to get double-digit DraftKings points now in 8 of his past 13 games, and he's doing it in a number of different ways. He can get on the score sheet. He's not afraid to shoot the puck. Had 5 shots last game. Not afraid to block shots either. Had 3 block shots. So he hit both of these bonus here. 5 shots on net, 3 block shots. Got 6 points just by hitting those bonuses there. And that's really what we've seen from Shea Weber as of late. So he's the perfect guy to run it back with. Or even if you think Montreal wins this game, he's easy to roll out in that type of lineup as well. Plays big minutes, plays on the power play, plays on the penalty kill. Again, a guy that can get it done a number of different ways. Now, the next player here, Ondrej Palat, is not someone I've talked about a whole bunch throughout the playoffs, and that's usually due to him being overshadowed by guys like Kucherov, Point, Stamkos, even Alex Killorn, who's been very good throughout the playoffs, especially at home. But I did want to highlight Palat here because he's been very consistent as of late. He has 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points in his past 9 games, and he's still playing on that first line with Kucherov and Point, so you can stack him up with either one of those guys. Really, the only downside I see with Palat, and this isn't even that much of a downer, is he plays on the second power play compared to the first power play. Outside of that, I really like where his game is at, and I love stacking him up with Kucherov or Point. Probably wouldn't do a whole line stack there. I'd probably just roll with a pairing, but love him at this price tag here, a $7,800. Cole Caulfield, I really like him as well at $7,200, and I like that he saw 19 plus minutes in Game 3. I mentioned it in the video before. I wasn't really loving his ice time as of late. He was only floating around 12 to 15 minutes, but saw 19 plus minutes in Game 3. I expect we'll see the same here in Game 4. I'm going to take the over as a prize pick at 2.0 as the shot prop. I just think he's going to fire the puck a lot here. Again, do or die. You have nothing to lose, well, except for getting swept in the Stanley Cup final, so you can expect the best out of Montreal here. Caulfield, a rookie, a young player. They're going to tell this kid to shoot the puck. He's a natural goal scorer, so I not only think he's going to have 3+ shots on net, I think he could have himself a nice game. You could stack him up with Suzuki or even someone like Tyler Toffoli. All 3 of those guys play on the second line and the first power play. And then we're going to wrap it up here with 3 guys who are below 5K. I really like the value with all 3 of these guys. Yes, they're all on the Tampa Bay Lightning side of things here, but really, again, there hasn't been a whole lot to love about Montreal throughout these first 3 games, so I kind of felt like I was reaching there a little bit, but these 3 have shown consistency and shown that they've been very good in this series as well. For starters, Blake Coleman, although he did score an empty net goal in Game 3, he now has a point in every game so far throughout the Stanley Cup final, 2 goals, 1 assist, playing on the third line and playing on the penalty kill. This is a guy that just kind of took his game to the next level here as soon as the Stanley Cup final kicked off. So I like where Coleman's at right now, $4,400. Thought he got hurt in Game 3 actually for a little bit and then came back, ended up scoring a goal. So I like where his game is at, and I like him at this price tag here. Eric Chernak, $4,200, too cheap in my opinion. Going to play about 19 plus minutes on the blue line for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Needs about 6.5 DraftKings points to meet value. He's been able to average 7.1 DraftKings points all season. We even saw it in Game 1 where he scored a goal, had 14 plus DraftKings points. So too cheap in my opinion. Plays on the penalty kill as well and not afraid to block shots. And then we're going to wrap it up there with Tyler Johnson. I thought he was going to play on the second line with Cirelli and Stamkos in replacement of Alex Killorn in Game 3 like we saw in Game 2, but that didn't happen. Johnson actually ended up centering that fourth line, and while I would prefer him to be on that second line, it really worked out for him centering that fourth line. Managed to score 2 goals, have 4 shots on net, and had the second most DraftKings points in Game 3 at 23, just behind Kucherov. Going to play on that second power play as well, so even though he's on the fourth line, I like the special teams time there. So $3,800, very affordable, and coming off a game where he just scored 2 goals. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up the video here for today. As always, thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch these videos. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate that. Like I said, Pat and his team are posting content all week long, and you don't want to miss out on any of that. For those of you who want to sign up for Prize Picks, just make sure you use code MMN for up to a $100 match deposit. Folks, it's Game 4 here. I hope Montreal can force a Game 5. Hell, even force a Game 7. The more playoff hockey, the better. But if I don't see you guys here for the rest of the season, just want to thank you all here on the Mayo Media Network for having me on this season. season. Hopefully you catch me around this football season as well, or at the very least next hockey season. Got a lot to look forward to here in 2021. Got a lot brewing on my side as well. So let's enjoy this game. Let's hope Montreal can force a little more hockey for us, but if not, I appreciate all of you. Let's have a great day. Let's win some money as well. I'm out of here.